Sound off. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Esteban Hours Week in Reviews Sound Off. Today's topic, NeYo. NeYo. Is he singing? No, he's not singing. I wish he was. Now, NeYo recently made some comments that went viral. And these comments had to do with being anti-Tran. Now, I don't think that they were anti-Tran, but you'll see and make the judgment for yourself. But first, let's bring in our panel, author, activist, and co-host of the Esteban Hours Week in Review, Jeremy Baker. And joining us today is Aquil from Harlem, NYC. His handle is at Harlem NYC 360. Welcome, gentlemen. How you doing?
Yes.
Good to be back.
All right. Okay. It depends on who you ask, right? It depends on who you ask. Some may say he was correct in what he said. Others may say he was insensitive in what he said. And then if we go by what he said, which we will play, it is his opinion. And as he said, everyone has one. Nothing special about that. That's what we're doing right now, right? We're giving our opinion to his opinion.
Yes.
So can we fault him for that? I don't know. But let's play the clip and let's see exactly what his opinion was on being trans.
It comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl." And you just let him rock with that. You just let.
Right.
He's 5.
Right. And where did he get that from?
If you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's going to do that.
Exactly.
Like, when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6, growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs, they're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
We can medicate them
He
up.
can't drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right, right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut up his pee-pee, and that, to me, that makes no sense whatsoever.
And I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they can take your kid from you.
That is actually, as far as I could tell, not true. I mean, it's a little extreme.
Well, okay. What these days is not extreme, right? Especially when it comes to politics with the right and the left. But it's not far-fetched to believe, right? Because there are other rules or laws that some of the states, some of these legislations are passing that comes under the same regard, where if you do something will happen. For example, in Florida, right?
Yeah, they have an anti-trans bill in Florida that if you are found to give your kids gender-affirming care, the government can come in and take your kids from you. I think that's why I believe that's why Dwayne Wade is leaving the state of Florida. He is a trans kid, if I'm not mistaken. So most of and part of me agrees with him and part of me doesn't. NeYo, I mean, I don't think kids that young should be making life-changing choices. However, I don't think you should be insensitive to the fact that your kid is going through something deeply personal and they're not coming to you. I don't believe the whole 4 or 5 years old coming to you telling that you want to be. That to me is bullshit. I think they're just making stuff up to fill in, you know what I mean? To make it sound like it's worse than it is. There's no 5-year-old kid coming going, I want to cut my pee-pee off. That's ridiculous.
Very
ridiculous. If they do, they're definitely not serious. They're 5. Nothing they say is serious. They're 5.
Right. What do you think, Aquil?
Right. So in regards to, like, I mean, he threw out an age of 5. I kind of bypassed that. I understand what his point was. You understand? His point was when a kid comes to you, whether they're 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, as a parent, how do you deal with that? So what he stated is subjective. Every parent is going to deal with it different. And, some parents may be, oh, okay, sure. That's, and so the whole thing is subjective. The whole issue is very sensitive. And that's just going to be the reality just going forward for a long time. You're going to have one group that, now here's the thing too, what people got to remember. People have to start looking at people's intent. Like when he said in his interview, my intent was not to be offensive. Intent. That's the whole thing that matters here. He gave his how he sees things, but he wasn't out. He didn't wake up with the intent that I'm gonna hurt everyone who believes that, and people have to stop doing that.
Right.
And he didn't. I mean, in the interview that we just watched, I mean, he's not really bashing trans people. He's just saying he doesn't understand how somebody that young, like, honestly, because I've been through it. My daughter at one point thought she had identified as trans. And I can tell you as a parent, it's not easy. It's not something you take lightly. It's not something that, honestly, when your baby girl comes to you and tells you that she wants to be a boy, that is not something that you freaking take lightly. It's not easy to hear. You know what I mean? And I think people are getting a little too reactive because this is still a new subject as far as like transgender rights and transgenderism on the forefront. It's still a very new topic that many people don't understand. And as a heterosexual man, there are some things I'm not going to understand. I'm not supposed to understand, but it doesn't mean I have to be a dick about it like he was. You know what I mean? You could be more empathetic about it, I think.
Here's what
try and be a little more understanding, because thinking kids are getting, at 5 years old or 4 years old being put on medication. Nobody in this country is putting their 4 and 5 year old on hormones or puberty blockers. That is the dumbest shit.
And that's what I was going to bring out. I can understand NeYo's point of view and his comments. I don't agree with the age that he mentioned of 5. I do not agree that there are 5-year-olds out there saying, "Mommy, I don't want my pee-pee anymore," or "Mommy, I want to be a boy." I don't, and this is my opinion. It could be happening, and it might be happening, to 1 or 2 or 3 children, but statistically on a whole scale, I don't think that that's happening. Now, maybe when they get, 8, 9, 10, maybe they might start saying, talking in that manner. I don't think it's 5 years at 5 years old. I also want to say that I don't feel being a heterosexual man or being a gay man has anything to do with it. Okay. Empathy is empathy. Okay. Being sensitive over your children and your children's feelings and what they're going through, that should be the main point. It shouldn't matter whether you're a straight man or not. If your child is different than what the norm would be, that is what should be focused on. And if you as a parent need counseling to help you direct or support your young child in those feelings and those thoughts, then so be it. But with that said, I will agree that 5 years old, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old is too young to know whether you want to change your body or not. But a parent should definitely be nice about it and just, humble. Be nice about it, be humble, and talk to your child in a decent way, to where you're not putting them down. You're not making them feel like they're an alien from another planet, but at the same time, you're making them trying to understand they might be a little bit too young to make a serious and permanent decision such as that one, right?
And I just like to point out too that when your kids are little, you don't know if they're gay, you don't know if they're trans. You can't pick what your kids end up being. You know what I mean? Your kid is going to grow up and they're going to choose what they want to choose. And I think just as a parent, I can tell you when a teenager makes up their mind, sometimes it's almost impossible to talk them out of it. You know what I mean? These days, And there is a lot of exterior influences too. Like my daughter had a habit of listening to people on Facebook more than her father, who really cared about her and loved her and raised her from birth. Because I was a single dad, you know what I mean? So
I think that's normal. A lot of kids do it, and that's what makes social media so bad and so poisonous today, because a lot of these kids are taking instruction from the computer instead of their own parents. But go ahead.
yes. Oh
Yeah,
no, that's all I want. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, that's the other thing too. Like sometimes, like I said, it's a very complex situation because no one, the individual parent is not going to know probably where this came from. Is this something that actually originates internally, or was this something that came out because of the external environment? You know, or was it a mixture? So no one knows. My niece, I have a niece. My niece is gay. Now, from a I have to ask my sister if she, because she had the conversation with her, but from a young age, and I don't know the number, she had these feelings of being attracted to women, but my sister had her tested, so my niece does have a high level of testosterone, more so than the average female. So I don't know if that plays a factor. So there's a lot of components to it, and it's still being looked at. It's still being debated. You understand? And so it's still, like you said, it's this whole thing is still relatively new.
You're right. There actually are tests that you could do. And actually, Paul's a good person to talk to about this. He knows a lot about this, where they can test, because there is more than one gender when it comes, like scientifically, there's typically more than one gender because it has a lot to do with how much testosterone. Like if a female has a lot more testosterone in her system, then obviously she's going to have more, features that tend to be more towards
Male
and emotions that be towards male, right? So, and the other way, that goes the other way, is the same thing. So there's almost a spectrum that we're learning, that gender is not just male or female, but there is actual spectrum of genders. It's not as simple as people think. Like,
I want to
having
say,
is what's between your legs has very little to do with what gender you are. It has a lot to do with your
I
body
want to say,
chemistry.
I want to say, Jeremy, I understood your point that you made earlier, where you don't know what your child may be as a young age. I don't, I don't 100% agree with that, because there are some children, some toddlers that you can tell, or they have ways about them, or they speak in certain mannerisms where you can sort of tell. And then you've
Mm-hmm.
got to give respect to the part of the gay community that says that they were born that way. There are a lot of um,
Oh
um,
yeah.
folks from the LGBTQ plus community that feel they were actually born that way. And who
Mm-hmm.
are we to say that they were not? Or who are we to put them down and say, no, you can't say that. You can't feel that way if that's
Mm-hmm.
what they genuinely feel. However, with that said, even if they feel that way, I still don't believe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds have the mental capacity to make such a huge decision of being, trans
Like,
at all.
like I said before the show, I'm almost 46 and I have a hell of a time with life-changing choices, get alone, 12 and 13-year-old kids. I
Right.
can't imagine making, but I was like, I didn't go through that as a kid. I understand what it's like to hate who you are. And when you hate who you are, or feel like you're not the person you are on the outside than you are on the inside, that you can make rash decisions.
Yeah.
In order to
Yeah.
try and find happiness. I mean, I've done that in desperation, made ridiculous decisions just to think that they would make me happy, and they end up backfiring. So I think it's just one of those things where we still have a lot more we need to learn.
So then, after this interview had posted with NeYo, he apologized for what he called quote unquote insensitive gender identity remarks. And he said that he plans to better educate himself. He posted an official statement apologizing for the anti-trans comments that he made on VLAD TV. And he says that he's going to do better. Do you take his word for it that he made insensitive comments?
Go ahead, Aquil. You can take that one.
No, I don't. No, I don't see nothing. I don't see anything that he said as being insensitive. I don't see it. But I do understand we live in a time where when you're talking about race, religion, or the sexuality, the people on the other side are going to be offended. There's subjects with that somebody may be that white people may talk about like a black issue, and there may be black people that take it too far. That's the world we live in now.
That's
That's
right.
just,
And you
it
can't
is.
please everybody, right?
No, you can't. It is what it is.
No, that's for sure.
Now, like I said, but he did the right thing. He came back and he clarified on video that since we live in a social media world now, you can do that. And I think that's more effective. So he spoke to the people from him in his car. He said, listen, I said what I said. I did have no intent. That's all I'm looking for is really what is the intention? You understand? Right. And he said, I didn't have no intentions on harming anybody. And that's just that. And I didn't see anything insensitive.
So he issued an apology, right? And he called it, insensitive, that he was insensitive with his remarks. But then he retracted his apology for those anti-Tran remarks, saying that he will not be bullied for having an opinion. He basically walked back his comments in an Instagram video that we have right now. Play the clip.
Hold on, loved ones. This is NeYo. All right, listen. I normally don't give too much of a damn about what y'all think about what I do, what y'all have to say about what I say, whatever. I normally don't care because, like I said, opinions ain't special. Everybody got one. However, this is something I feel very strongly on, and I need y'all to hear this from the horse's mouth, not the publicist's computer. So check this out. First and foremost, I do not apologize for having an opinion on this matter. I am a 43-year-old heterosexual man raising 5 boys and 2 girls, okay? That's my reality. Now, if my opinion offended somebody, yeah, sure, I apologize for you being offended because that wasn't my intention. My intention is never to offend anybody. However, I'm entitled to feel how I feel. I'm absolutely entitled to feel how I feel the same way you are entitled to feel how you feel. I ain't asked nobody to follow me. I ain't asked nobody to agree with me. I was asked a question, and I answered the damn question.
Okay.
He's not playing. No, I think, let me add to what I said earlier. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think that his remarks weren't necessarily offensive. However, his lack of knowledge of what transgenderism is, I think, because like we said, 4 or 5 years old kids aren't coming up to you. So I think, if anything, his comments just showed that he really doesn't know what he's talking about. Not necessarily being offensive, just kind of not really knowing,
I give him,
and obviously
credit. I give him credit for that response that he made. There was a lot of truth in there. He's right. It's his opinion. Everyone has an opinion. And he should not be, humiliated or thrown into hell jail
canceled or whatever,
or canceled, right? Because of his opinion. He happened to be on a show. He stated something of what his feelings was, and that's what his feelings were. And to be browbeated for it, I thought that response that he made was justified and was straightforward and to the point. I actually liked his response for that. Now, I want to. There's a couple of things I want to bring out with what he said on that video. First of all, I can't seem to find the time to handle all of my jobs and my responsibilities with my 2 children, and then to see these celebrities have 1,000 kids. In his case, he said 5 boys and 2 girls. How do they find the time to have all these children and sing and act and tour and interview? Oh,
nannies. That's how. Lots and lots of nannies.
Yeah.
Like, what's the other guy? Nick Cannon's got like 387 kids.
Hello. 5 boys and 2 girls. I forgot what he was saying. I'm just sitting there like, what? Oh my God. Damn,
I gave up after 2. I'm like, Dad, no, we're gonna have more. No,
yes.
It was good.
My two, that's it. That's it.
So, but I do agree with you guys. I think his response to all the harassment he's getting, because there has to, like we always talk about on the show, there has to be an open line of communication. He wasn't. I mean, there's people out there completely bashing. I mean, we're going to talk about somebody because we coming up, a store owner who was shot over a pride flag. You know what I mean? I mean, that is hate, not understanding a situation and maybe making a couple comments that really weren't that bad. I mean, is it really worth just giving this guy as much heat as he's getting? I don't know.
And he wasn't bashing the trans community, right?
No,
He wasn't putting down or saying he's against the LGBTQ plus community. He was just basically stating his opinion on, you know, young children, adolescent or toddlers should not have the rights to say that they want to, you know, have surgery and replace their genitals. That's all he was saying. And I think that's a fair comment to say.
As a parent, that's a valid argument. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. As a parent,
Just
that
like
is a valid
just
argument.
like a child on the other side who comes out and says, you know, I'm gay, and someone says, you know, I don't like that, or I don't, you know, reverse that. That child has a right to say that they're gay, to admit that, and to show their feelings toward it. Just like someone else has the right to say, I don't agree with that. And I don't feel that that is right. Now, when it comes into the government part, where the government is now trying to force themselves into our homes to deal with our families, I feel that's where the line is drawn. A parent or parents should reserve the right, and the only right, to decide what should happen with their children. Nobody knows your kid better than you. Am I correct?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say these days because kids, do you really know what your kids are doing at all? I mean, before the internet, when we were kids, our parents knew what we were doing because there's only so much we can do. But now there's so many means of communication and there's so much information out there that I think kids are overloaded with information.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any intervention. And I'm not saying that we can't go elsewhere for help and support on the issue, on the matter. I'm saying there should not be a legislative branch or government system that should tell you,
no,
your child cannot have a surgery, or, you know, you can't do X, Y, and Z with your child who wants to be the opposite sex. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's a decision between the parent and the kid.
Right. Now, as far as the government intervention, like, now, obviously, I agree with that part, right? But they have to be careful with that, because at the same token, some of the individuals in the LGBTQ community is also asking the government to pass legislation like hate bills and crime bills. So on one hand, they want the government out, but on the other hand, they want the government in to pass bills. So it gets really tricky. But I do agree that, of course, obviously, that there shouldn't be no bill telling a parent. But
do you think that the bills that the LGBTQ plus community are asking to be passed are bills that will protect them, that are bills that will allow them to do what they want?
Right. So the bill,
is different.
Right. So no, but what I was saying was, what they're asking for, the bills will protect them, like hate crime bills against trans people, against gay, that protects them. But that's asking the government to intervene. You understand what I'm saying? So then the government, now, once you ask the government to intervene, they intervene with that, but then they want to intervene on other things. Now, I think some of the intervention was on whether the kids nowadays is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Because we do have government things where parents aren't allowed to abuse kids. You understand? So if they're interpreting, if a kid is 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, and you take them to the hospital to get whatever, some governments is interpreting that as child abuse. So it's very sticky. It's very sticky.
I
It
understand.
is.
I understand your point of view, but I do think I feel it comes under that subject of where you can walk and chew gum at the same time. In other words, I believe the government can pass a bill that would help and protect a certain people or
Yes.
race or culture, and
Right.
at the same time not pass a bill that's going to interrupt or go into their lives and tell them what to do. I believe the government can do both protection, and then that's it. Walk away. Do
No,
not
no,
involve
no, I
yourself
I
anymore
get
in
that.
someone's personal life. Just help protect them, because you've got other, idiots out there that are trying to hurt them.
Right,
But
like the
now
example
don't
he
go in
just
there
gave.
and try to dictate what they can and cannot do with their own sex or their own feelings.
Yeah, it's no, yeah, like I said, it's I mean, it's sticky. I mean, like now there's laws now where you can't even really beat your own child. You can't really discipline them depending on the state. It's a state issue, so it depends on the
Great
state.
example. Yes.
You know what I mean? And I, like I don't know, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, you understand? I mean, me growing up, man, my father hit me with belts and all type of stuff. Like,
Same here. Same here.
You
Raise
know.
your hand, Jeremy.
What? I grew up in the military. My dad was hardcore.
That's why I
There
told
was
you
no
to
messing
raise
around.
your hand, because I know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that he was strict.
But that's a
fair.
perfect example. That's an absolute a perfect example where the government comes in and passes these laws, and now if you even put a finger on your children, you can go to jail for the rest of your life, which is absolutely ridiculous. So my child can go in there and rob a bank and come home with all the cash, but I can't beat their ass. So then what? Then what do I do when they go back and rob the second bank?
Right.
So
And
I guess the key word, because I said it in the other thing. So the key word, I forgot. I should have just said this. The key word as far as government intervention is balance. That's the key, balance.
yes,
sometimes
I agree.
There you go.
We live in a world where you can go too far left, and sometimes you can go too far right. So you have to have balance. To be honest,
No,
with you,
you're
that's
absolutely
why
right.
The whole planet is in chaos because there's no balance. No
Right.
balance. The balance is
and that's what I was just gonna say. It's not sometimes anymore. It's like almost every day. It's either one extreme or the other, right?
The other.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of it all anymore.
Okay. So now we have one of the mothers of NeYo's children, his 7 children. She speaks out. She recently spoke out, and she said that it was not cool. The anti-Tran remarks that NeYo said was not cool. Here's what happened. One of the mothers of NeYo's children spoke out after he slammed parents who let their kids transition genders, making it clear that his thoughts aren't aligned with hers. Her name is Monietta Shaw Carter. She's mom to 2 of his children, Madeline and Mason. And she says that she's fully aware of the things that the singer said recently about the transgender community. And while she repeats his opinion, she adds that those are only his opinion. And apparently this is her right here. Nice, pretty young lady with the singer NeYo. So now, going into that, do you think it was her business to speak out?
I'm horrible at relationships. I'm not even put it.
That's the first thing I said. I said, what is it for her business?
Right?
Well, you know how it is. They may have been having some issues behind the scenes, so you know how that is.
The first thing I said is, who the hell cares what you feel or what you think? Okay.
Yeah.
And again, this is his opinion, not yours. When you come out with your opinion, you're gonna want people to respect that. Okay. So are you just trying to get on TV and get your face plastered everywhere and your voice recorded?
That could be. I mean, yeah, I don't know what her motive was. I don't know if she caught. I don't know if she caught backlash because she has children with them. You know, in other words, I don't know if she has trans friends.
Right. That
And
could
then
be.
she caught backlash because, you know, you can catch backlash from your affiliation with people.
Right.
And that's the highest level of affiliation. You got kids with them. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was
That's
the
a
story
good point,
behind it.
Quill. That's a
This
very
just seems like one of those topics that stirs up a lot of emotion in people. I don't know.
It will.
And I think the only way we're going to get past it is just educate ourselves about the situation.
Yeah,
The more
burn
we
whole
know, the
planet
more
up.
woke we are. You know what I mean? We always use that term. The more woke we are about the things that are happening around us, the better off we'll be. And the more understanding we'll be, the more empathetic we'll be. If we can kind of understand, like ask a trans person, what made you decide to do this? Are you happy?
Well, I mean,
Was it a good or bad choice? You know what I mean?
I tend to stray away from the conversations. You know, I do have communications with people that's trans, but I just keep it where we at. I don't necessarily get, if they happen to go into detail about it, and yeah, I'll listen and go from there. But I tend to, my whole thing is, look, whatever people do in the world, you do you. It just, because I'm from New York, so everyone in New York is doing something, but we're going to do something. So
and that's what I was going to say as well. I have an empathetic bone, and therefore anybody can come to me and talk to me about what's on their mind or what they're going through or how they feel. No judgment from me whatsoever. You could be a 10-year-old who wants surgery. Of course, I'm going to suggest that they not do that and that they wait. And I'm going to give my mature reasons as to why I'm saying that to a 10-year-old if that child was to come to me and ask me that. But and definitely refer to their parents, because their parents are the ones that they should be talking to about that. Some children don't feel comfortable talking to their parents, but there's no judgment from here. And as you mentioned, from New York City, there are 1,000 different types of people here. Okay, trans is just one of them.
So from a little small place in Pennsylvania, so we don't, have this much entertainment and
learn to accept everybody, no matter what their culture, nationality, status, gender. You learn to accept everybody for who they are, as long as they are a good person, they have a good heart. And they live their life in a legal manner. I can't say, a Christian or clean manner, because not everybody believes in religion, but as long as they live their life in a legal manner, that's all that should matter.
And that's my thing too. If you're a good person, that's what I look at is, are you a good person? Like if you're not a good person, I don't care what race you are, what gender you are, what doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm not associating with you. If you're a good person, I don't care. That's all I care about. Are you a good person? Are you going to cause me any kind of harm?
Right.
Physically or emotionally? If not, then that's all good.
And if I have to adapt, to someone else's well-being so that they can feel comfortable, especially around me, I will. It's just that simple. Because we all have our own characters and personalities. And there could be something within us that someone else may not like. They have the choice of dealing with us or not. And if they are going to deal with us, then they have to be understanding and be willing to put up with what our character and personality traits bring, right? And I don't feel it's any different with someone who's trans or from the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah, like I said, my niece is gay. Matter of fact, she's getting married in Atlanta next month, and I have to go down there. You know
nice.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you know what I mean? My niece is gay. We hang out like it's normal. It doesn't.
That's right.
It's nothing. You know what I mean? And whether she's my niece or not doesn't even matter, because the person she's marrying, everything, that's not my niece, but that. So it's nothing. It is what it is. It's just human beings. We just out here doing what we do. Now, as long as nobody doing nothing weird, like somebody cut his thing over, he want to attach it to his forehead. I'm not walking around with nobody. If that offended them, that they're gonna just be offended. I'm not walking nobody with your junk on top of your forehead because you cut.
Why did I just get a visual of that?
Now you would.
I just saw that in my head. Just a dude walk around with a dick on his head. Dickhead.
I had to break the monotony somehow.
Yeah, that was perfect. right, I'm done. I can't
So,
talk anymore.
Jeremy, when you see a couple of dickheads walking around, let us know. Okay.
Oh, I'll be
And
taking
don't
pictures
bring
if I
up
see one of
anybody
those.
on the right side.
I'll behave. I
Okay.
promise.
All right. So we'll leave it there. We did mention, Jeremy and we did mention that we're going to have an episode coming up in the future where we're going to discuss this trans issue a little bit further, where we're going to bring some more guests into it with their opinion as to whether, you know, they believe or not, you know, how young is too young to be trans, or to say you want a sex change. And
That would be interesting from their
Mhm.
perspective. Yeah, that would be interesting.
absolutely, because this is a bigger topic than NeYo or any one of us, right? That
Mhm.
needs to be had. There's a lot of violence right now going on amongst the nation and the world, really, because it's not just in the United States where transgender folks and the LGBTQ plus community are being traumatized and terrorized. It's happening all around the world. And we need to bring more focus to what's going on and what's happening to them, and what we can help to do, you know, what we can do about it to help them and support them, and deter the devils and the evil ones from treating them like they're aliens and animals.
Well, there's a few people that's on Twitter. I'll probably send you their DM, their handles, and you can do whatever you want from there with that.
Sounds
That
good.
wouldn't mind probably coming on.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good. Sounds good.
Nice.
Okay. With that, gentlemen, we're going to end that.
Thank
We
you.
will bring to the audience any updates that we have on the situation. Maybe another baby mama may want to speak out, you know, in defense of NeYo or against him. We don't know. But we'll bring that to you if we do. What I will say is that we need to be a kinder and gentler nation towards one another. I know that's hard with the political uproar that's happening today on a daily basis, but we're all people, we're all humans, we're all part of the same race, and that's the human race. At the same time, there should be an age limit as to what kids can decide for themselves, and that's where their parents come in to help and to aid, so that they're at an age where they mentally can understand or will understand the things that they want or that they ask for, and the decisions that they make, and to understand that whatever decision that they make at whatever age they are will affect them for the entirety of the rest of their life. If you have any comments or questions, please do not hesitate to send them to the Esteban Hour, youtube.com, Facebook, Instagram. We will answer your comments, and we will respond to them. Please share, like the live if you did. It will be greatly appreciated. If you have an achievement or goal that you've accomplished today, don't forget to say to yourself, this is how we do it.